No DQ Galaxy, we are live with the NoDQ.com recap of AEW Dynamite for Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. It has been a very busy week. I've been live streaming for a full week now, every single day, and that will continue. We got the No DQ review coming up, and then the SmackDown / Hall of Fame recap, and then, of course, WrestleMania Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday, and let's not forget Stand and Deliver, and then the Raw after Mania. A lot going on. We had some AEW to give us a break from WWE. Let's go ahead and get right into this recap. Shout out to everybody watching this live. I appreciate it. And thank you to those watching on demand as well. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat, says Jeff needs to be careful. He landed on his head. I think he's referring to Jeff Hardy jumping ahead to the end of Dynamite. We'll get to that later. We kicked off the show with CM Punk one-on-one with Max Caster of The Acclaimed. Caster did his usual pre-match rap promo, made a reference to Will Smith, of course. You knew that was coming. And I figured this was coming as well. He made a reference to Z-Packs. If you go back and listen to that CM Punk interview from 2014 after he left WWE, he brought up the Z-Packs. And Caster also said that according to the ladies, CM Punk is the voice of the moistless. Ouch. Anyways, Caster had his shoulder taped up. CM Punk tried to go after the shoulder. Caster got the upper hand for a while. Crowd was very much into CM Punk. And I have to say, this crowd, South Carolina, I'm not sure if this is AEW's first visit in South Carolina, but they were super hot for this show. This was one of the better Dynamite crowds in a while. They were reacting to pretty much every single thing on the show. It was a really great crowd this week. And Anthony Bowens was out there. He grabbed CM Punk's leg at one point. Caster went for the mic drop, the big elbow, but missed. Then CM Punk hit a pile driver. Then he put on the Anaconda Vice and scored the submission victory. Nice solid match here for CM Punk to pick up another win as he continues his rise in the rankings. After the match, Tony Schiavone interviewed him, and CM Punk said he doesn't know who's going to be the champion, whether it's Adam Cole or Adam Page, but before his time is over, he will have more gray hairs, he will have more scars, and he will be the AEW World Champion. So yes, the tease for CM Punk going for the AEW title continues. As I've mentioned before, I would suspect it's going to happen at Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. And he picks up another win over a very game Max Caster. Backstage, we had FTR wearing Scott Hall tribute gear, similar to what Scott Hall would wear in the NWO. MJF was back there, and these flyers were being put up all around the arena. Wardlow is banned from getting into the arena. Kind of a spoof of like when Scott Steiner was banned from the Hall of Fame. If you guys remember, WWE actually put up flyers outside the arena to warn security about Scott Steiner. They were actually afraid this guy was going to try to sneak into the Hall of Fame, I guess. And funny enough, he's now going into the Hall of Fame. How crazy is that? So MJF talked about how Wardlow is gone, but the Pinnacle is still there. And FTR, Sean Spears, they're going to pick up some wins. But Dax Harwood said they don't want to be in the middle of the drama between MJF and Wardlow. They're friends with Wardlow. And MJF was trying to turn them against Wardlow, saying that Wardlow was talking shit about them and just said they need to focus on winning their match. Next up, we had Jay Lethal one-on-one with Jon Moxley. Moxley was wearing a Blackpool Combat Club hoodie. No William Regal out there for Moxley, just him and Jay Lethal in the ring. Lethal went for a handshake and Moxley slapped it away. We had our match here, which was a pretty solid match between these two, back and forth. JR was saying it's anybody's ball game, and I'm like, well, not exactly. Jay Lethal was not going to be winning this match under any circumstances, but they had a good match. They did have a good match. Crowd was into it. Lethal hit the lethal combination, but Moxley kicked out of it. Moxley went for the paradigm shift, but his leg gave out on him. And then Lethal hit a brainbuster, hit the big flying elbow, but Moxley kicked out. And then Lethal started arguing with the referee, and that was ultimately his downfall. He should have stayed on his man. Moxley picked up the win with the paradigm shift. And then afterwards, Moxley went for the handshake this time. And Lethal accepted it. Moxley showing I guess Lethal had to show his toughness. And once the match was over, Moxley gave him the handshake. Respect there for them. Match was good. Pretty much what you would expect with these guys. And anytime Jay Lethal's in there against a Jon Moxley type guy, you know Lethal's not winning. But apparently he has like a 7-2 record. Pretty much all of his wins on Dark or Elevation or whatever. We had a Marina Shafir video package, and later on in the show, we had Jade Cargill with Smart Mark Sterling, and Sterling had two possible opponents. The first one was Leva Bates to be the 30th opponent for Jade Cargill, and Jade was like, nope, that ain't happening. She wants somebody with more credibility, so that's when Sterling said that Maria Shafir will be the new opponent. Of course, Marina Shafir, former WWE star from NXT, didn't really do a whole lot there, but she has been making appearances on Dark and so forth over the past several months, and now she'll be getting an opportunity at Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. We had the FTR match against the Ass Boys, or the Gunn Club, the sons of Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn was out there to show support for his kids. MJF was doing commentary, and he was making fun of Wardlow. Instead of "Where's Waldo?" he said, "Where's Wardlow?" Billy Gunn took advantage when the referee was distracted, took a cheap shot at Cash Wheeler and said, "Suck that, bitch." Wheeler eventually got the hot tag to Dax Harwood, and then all hell started to break loose because Wardlow arrived. Wardlow was coming through the arena. Security was trying to stop him. He eventually got into the arena, started walking down the stairs towards the ringside area. He pointed at MJF, but then all the security guys, there was like 20 of them, they finally were able to hold him back and get him out of the arena. And then back in the ring, Billy Gunn once again got on the apron, but he got knocked off, and FTR hit the big rig to pick up the victory. And then afterwards, MJF came into the ring. FTR, they were not happy with MJF because of all that drama, but they did end up letting MJF raise their hands. So we continue with the little slow burn tease of MJF having a split with FTR. FTR doing the pretty obvious babyface turn here. And they're starting to build towards an eventual breakup with FTR moving away from MJF. We had Chris Jericho backstage with the Jericho Appreciation Society. He made a little reference to 90s WWE, said that the JAS, they are the revolutionary force in sports entertainment. And they future endeavored their foes last week. And Jericho said everybody wants to join, but unfortunately for them, only 5 people can be in the group and everybody else can GFY. Jericho is really trying to get that term over. He really is. He trademarked it, and he's insisting that it will catch on. Anyways, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz attacked the JAS. There was a huge brawl. They fought into the arena. They were in the ring. Eddie Kingston hit the spinning back fist to Jericho, but then Jake Hager made the save for the JAS. And you had Garcia putting the sharpshooter on Kingston while Jericho was using his baseball bat, Floyd. And then Jericho hit Kingston with the Judas effect. And once again, the JAS standing tall over Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. They are outnumbered, 3 against 5. They could definitely use some help. Anybody smell a blood and guts match coming? I seem to think that this is going to lead to that. You got the 5 guys with Jericho, and Kingston just needs a couple friends, and there you go. You got a blood and guts match. Been almost a year since we've had one. We then had Bryan Danielson versus Wheeler Yuta, who had no intro, which you know what that means. William Regal was out there on commentary, and the crowd was very much into Yuta. They were really cheering for him as the underdog. Bryan slapped him. Yuta held his own. They went back and forth for a while. Yuta even busted out Bryan's elbow strikes, got a near fall on Bryan, but then Bryan got back into it, hit the running knee, and he was going to go for the kicking of the head. But then Yuta, before he got his head kicked in, he spit in the face of Bryan Danielson, showing some defiance before he got his head kicked in. Bryan then hit a pile driver and then put on the submission victory to pick up the win. Very similar to what CM Punk did, pile driver and then submission win. And Bryan Danielson beats a very game Wheeler Yuta. Got to say, a lot of efforts here. Wheeler Yuta in this match, and then back in the beginning of the show, you had Caster, and then you had Jay Lethal. They were all very game. So these were good matches, but kind of predictable. You know who's winning the match. They're good technical wrestling matches, and it's fine. They're good matches. And then we had the Undisputed Elite coming down to the ring. And they had the championship belts that they had stolen, or as Cole said, they took them. And they had the titles with their names taped on to the belts. So you had Cole with the AEW World title. His name was on it. And you had Fish and O'Reilly with the tag team titles. Their names were on it as well. And they talked about how Adam Page and the Jurassic Express were not there because they were not invited to this big celebration. And they are ashamed. Then we had Adam Page actually show up. Page drove into the arena in a Tesla. There was a big brawl. He went for the buckshot lariat, but Cole was dragged out of the ring by Fish and O'Reilly. Then we had the Jurassic Express arrive. They attacked the Undisputed Elite. That is their new name now. And Cole got dumped over the top rope onto O'Reilly and Fish. And the good guys got their championship belts back. So nice little angle here, and I'm sure at some point we'll see that rematch between Cole and Adam Page as a little prelude to Double or Nothing, but I don't expect Cole to win the title. I think Page will win, and then it'll be Adam Page versus CM Punk at Double or Nothing. So basically just something to get us to Double or Nothing. We still got about 2 months to go. But it's a good storyline. I'm liking it. And then we had Tony Schiavone interviewing Thunder Rosa on the stage. And this time, Thunder Rosa actually got to cut a promo without being interrupted. She said it was a shame her celebration last week was cut short, but that doesn't take away from the fact that she's the new champion. She's going to put women's wrestling back on the map. And she not only wants to be the face of the AEW women's division, but she wants to be the face of the entire women's wrestling universe in the entire world. And she talked about how there will always be bullies like Nyla Rose wanting to bring her down, but she is ready to fight. She is ready to take on all comers. Promo was pretty solid. It was fine. I just think they should have done it last week and maybe actually had her in the ring instead of on the stage. See, when she's on the stage, it kind of feels like it's a secondary segment, but when it's in the ring, it feels a little bit more important. Just my own take on it, though. Calvin, I have no idea when Britt Baker's returning. Give her a few weeks to regroup and get her back into the mix. We had FTR backstage cutting a promo saying, part of their babyface turn, saying that they take wrestling seriously because it's all they wanted to do. They're the AAA tag team champions. They're going to become the Ring of Honor tag team champions. And eventually they plan on regaining the AEW tag team titles. But in the meantime, they want to prove they are the best tag team in the world. And they challenged the Young Bucks to a rematch from Full Gear 2020. And I suspect we might be seeing that match pretty soon. I would think Double or Nothing, but I guess it's possible we could see it sooner than that. Again, they still got 2 months to go until that pay-per-view. Moving on here, we had the Bunny in an Owen Hart tournament qualifying match against a mystery opponent. And the mystery opponent was former WWE star Toni Storm. No real surprise here. She was one of the names rumored to be the mystery participant, and a lot of people expected her in AEW after she left WWE in late 2021. She looked great. Match was good. And definitely she brings some star power to the women's division in AEW. Bunny held her own. She hit a DVD, but Storm kicked out of that. Bunny hit 2 thrust kicks, and Storm kicked out again. Storm countered with a German suplex and then picked up the win with Storm Zero over a very game Bunny. Bunny was very game in this one. Again, no surprise here. The outcome, very obvious. But nice showing for Toni Storm in her first match back. And then we had our main event of the evening, Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo. Andrade did a big dive over the top onto Darby before Darby could even get into the ring. And they brawled on the outside of the ring for a while. Darby ended up sidestepping Andrade. Andrade went into the steel steps, but Andrade regained the upper hand, slammed Darby on the steps, got him back in the ring, and then the match finally started at that point. Andrade dominated for a while. Darby kept fighting, kept brawling with Andrade. They would trade blows. Crowd started erupting as the two of them just kept punching each other back and forth. Darby eventually fell down, but he stayed in it. And just as he was starting to make a comeback, Jose, the assistant, showed up. Sting ran down to make the save, but then the Butcher and Blade attacked Sting. Darby made the mistake, stupid babyface 101 of taking his eyes off of his opponent. He did a dive to the outside onto Butcher and Blade. Guess he's got to save his mentor Sting. Then he got back in the ring, and of course, Andrade took advantage of the situation, picked up the win with the hammerlock DDT, and then the attack continued after the match. Private Party ran down, and then, of course, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy made the save. Huge reaction for them, and they had some steel chairs. Jeff Hardy took out Mark Quinn. Actually, it was Matt Hardy with the twist of fate, and then Jeff hit the big swanton bomb onto Mark Quinn to end the show on a positive note. And that was Dynamite, everybody. Marcus the Entertainer sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, AEW will have the AEW World Women's and Tag Team Champions defended at Battle of the Belts 2 on April 15th before the build to Double or Nothing. Yeah, so that very well could be when we see that Adam Cole versus Adam Page match for the AEW World title. I would expect that over the next couple of weeks as kind of like a match in between Revolution and the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. So all in all, good Dynamite. I thought it was a really solid show. I would recommend it. Solid B. Some of the matches, like I said, predictable. You know, the big star versus the up-and-comer. Well, Jay Lethal isn't exactly an up-and-comer, but against the underdog or the guy that is highly regarded, but he's not quite at that superstar level. And you got the veterans making them look good. Kind of the story of the evening here with a lot of these matches, which was fine, but it was a fairly predictable show, but good wrestling. I would like to see, if I had to make a mild criticism, I think they got to shake up the formula a little bit and change things up as far as these matches go. Like, we need to see an upset victory, because every match, it seems like the veteran always wins. And I remember, like, way back at the beginning of Dynamite, it was the Young Bucks. I think it was against Private Party, either the first or second Dynamite, and Private Party won. And I was not expecting that. I want to see more of that. I want to see some upset victories on Dynamite. Jay Lethal can win 100 matches on Dark or Rampage or whatever. He needs to pick up like a big win over a big name. If you really want to make Jay Lethal something special, he's got to pick up a big win. And you could say that about some of these other guys as well, like a Wheeler Yuta or whatever. Give them a big win, so they actually get elevated. Good old JM Jeff Meacham with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Jeff. This is his plug. He says, reminder that our Mania prediction show goes live at 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, not 6 as originally advertised. So yes, Jeff Meacham, his show will be Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. For anybody looking for his predictions, you can check that out. And yeah, it was, thank you, Gary, for pointing this out. It was the quarterfinal tag team tournament match with the Bucks versus Private Party. I liked that because I wasn't expecting Private Party to win. I thought for sure the Bucks were winning. I liked that curveball. And yes, Gary, that is a problem. The problem with WWE is that they do the star versus star match a lot, which in that sense makes it unpredictable, but they rely on that too much. So it's too much of that. And I think WWE could benefit from more types of matches. Like, for instance, Austin Theory, you're building him up for WrestleMania. Have him beat a lower tier guy. You don't need to have him beating the Intercontinental Champion. So yeah, WWE does the star versus star match, but that can be counterproductive. And in that case, with Austin Theory and Ricochet, that's exactly what happened. But then again, if WWE did like Drew McIntyre versus R-Truth every single week and gave him a little bit of the rub, that would get old after a while as well. It's all about having that balance. And I agree here. Toni Storm definitely has some potential to be something special in AEW, and we'll see what happens with her. Hopefully her AEW run turns out better than the WWE run. So that's it for Dynamite. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate your viewership and support. If you like the video, give it a like. Stay tuned. We got, as I said, the No DQ review coming up, SmackDown Hall of Fame, Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2, Raw After Mania, a lot of stuff coming up. YouTube.com/Aaron Riff No DQ. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Take care. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com. See you guys next time.